I'm ready.
Trent Bradway, you're a musician.
Yes.
How long have you been a musician?
I thought you were going to say miserable. How long have you been miserable? All my life. I've been a musician since I was 3. I was really into the Muppets growing up and Animal subsequently. The 90s were a time for that crazy kind of energy that Animal had. So I was really drawn to that, and because of him playing the drums, I wanted to play the drums. My dad was a musician, so when I was 3 or so, I asked how to play God of Thunder by Kiss, and essentially what he did was take me to the drum kit, sit me down on his lap, throw headphones on my head and say, "Nah, figure it out." Yeah. Which has basically defined all of my musicianship throughout my career of being a musician. I don't know how to read sheet music. I don't know like keys. Like I know the notes, but like that's kind of where it stops. My entire like musical experience has been like, all right, just figure it out.
Yeah. Cool. So what instruments do you know how to play?
I know how to play drums, guitar, bass. I know piano. I know like chords and chord structure on piano, but that's kind of where it stops and starts. And subsequently through that, I know like the marimba and like weird auxiliary percussion.
Gotcha. Cool. So how many pieces of music have you like written in your life?
Probably over 50 with different like groups and by myself and whatnot, and probably about a third of it, maybe a fourth of it ever sees the light of day.
So you mentioned groups.
Yes.
You've been in bands.
I've been in a handful of bands, and I've substituted out when other people couldn't make it in. Most of it was just like in the Cleveland area, and that was fun and that was cool. But through that, because I'm mostly a drummer, like that's kind of like my bread and butter, and subsequently I hate it. Through that and like being a musician as I am, and like knowing how to play all the instruments that I do, when you're the drummer, you really get balled into a corner of you're the unga bunga boy and you hit things with sticks. We'll put your ideas up on the fridge, but we're never going to revisit them. And because I'm spiteful, I took it upon myself when I moved out of the Cleveland area. I was like, all right, I'm just learning everything. Like I started playing guitar and bass when I was 15, but like to the point where I was like, I kind of get it. But at this point where I'm older and I've played for longer, I can, like I now have the musical confidence and the know-how to play all the other instruments that I do, instead of just being the drummer boy.
Gotcha. Cool. In your time in bands, or just really, you did performances and whatnot, and stuff?
I've performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in competitions. That competition specifically, the band I played in got disqualified because you're not allowed to start mosh pits. And one of our songs it was custom for our fans to start a mosh pit during one of the songs that we played. And really, like looking back on it, we should have known better and should not have done that, or like told people not to do that. But I think if you're going to go down in flames, you might as well go out in a blaze of glory and not like a little spark. So I don't have any regrets over that.
And also, if you're the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame,
you're there to mess things up.
Yeah, it's rock and roll. Like that, mosh pits are rock and roll.
Yeah, and
that sucks.
It is what it is. I was very proud of our performance, and we were told we were disqualified, and I said, yeah, that's fine.
This is a memory.
Yeah, it's something to be proud of.
So when you're creating music and writing music, do you get writer's block? Is that a thing for musicians?
Yes, it is 100% a thing that happens. For me personally, I have to be really, really inspired to go forward with a musical project. And writer's block is 100% a thing, and no artist is happy with their work. Right. You know what I mean? That you're never putting out a project as it is and going like, all right, hands off, I'm done. Like there's always more that
you'll listen to another time and be like, oh wait,
I could,
what if I did that differently?
Yeah, exactly. So there's always that opportunity in your head to do that, but I think it's important to not do that. But writer's block is so much a thing. In fact, the last song, Joy Runner, I had horrible writing block. And ironically, it's probably one of the best songs on the album. But I remember sitting at the end of it and being like, I don't know what to do with this. Yeah, what do I do? And it's hard to put a final touch on it. You know what I mean?
So you mentioned this inspiration.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
So inspiration for me is almost 100% of the time from other musicians. Hearing new sounds or going in interesting paths is always something that inspires me. With Joy Runner specifically, though, I did not have that. Like I've always enjoyed like synthwave.
Right.
I think it's just it's a cool throwback. It's kind of neat that people do it, and it's like, oh, this is like what a cool like almost time capsule of music that people can recreate now because everyone and their mom has a laptop and you can throw out a dance hit in 20 minutes. With Joy Runner, I was super inspired by pieces that have spanned from. Are you familiar with the short story "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep"?
No, I'm not.
So, too long didn't read. Essentially, the purpose of "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep" is, so let's say robots, androids, machines, AI could feel emotions. Even if it's a synthesized version of an emotion, like it's just ones and zeros. What is the difference between that thing, that man-made thing, feeling emotion and us feeling emotion? At that point, aren't they just as human as us? So that idea and other mediums that have played with that idea, like Blade Runner, which is obviously like Joy Runner. I'm not being creative. It's obviously, I'm obviously really into Blade Runner, and I'm not ashamed of it. Or DDLC or Code Lyoko, all these ideas are like, if something could feel emotions, that's not a person, like something that we made, what makes them any? That idea really heavily played into the creation of the Grid and Joy Runner. I think that whole like idea is really fascinating to me, and synthwave is such a great medium to put it into that you can really play with it. And like all of the 5 songs on Joy Runner are all like a story. Like there's beats in it, and there's everything's done with a purpose. So for me, 98% of the time if I'm making music, I'm like, oh, I really like Mac DeMarco and what he's doing right now. I'm gonna create something like that. Joy Runner was not that. It was, I watched Blade Runner 2049 3 times in a week, and it was like, all right, I have to do something with all this creative energy. Also, it was the pandemic, in April of the pandemic, so I had a lot of time. I had nothing but time on my hands. Time and a keyboard, and that's really all I needed.
Yeah. Cool. So for you, inspiration is basically influence.
Yes, 100%.
So, kind of dipped into it, but who are your main influences? Like, the Beatles was Elvis.
Sure.
And Kiss was the Beatles and Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
People like that. Who would you say are your, top 3 biggest influencers for creating music?
I think it comes and goes. It definitely depends on what I'm listening to at the moment. So with Joy Runner, I was really heavily influenced by the band TWRP or Twerp. They're very they're kind of underground. Most people might know them from being the instrumental side to the band Ninja Sex Party. I was also really inspired by Queens of the Stone Age at the time, and as I mentioned earlier, Mac DeMarco. And I know those are all 3 really random different ideas. And even Stan Getz, I was really heavily inspired by. And I try to take those inspirations and do with them what I can.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time musically I'm everywhere at once. So it does kind of depend on the day. You know what I mean? Like I woke up today and I was like, not only are the highs great, but Block Party's great. And last I checked, Mac DeMarco's still kills. So that's what I'm listening to today. So like it comes and goes, especially with it's depending on the instrument.
Cool.